You clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
You look down on me, you pity me. Walk away. That's right, Howard. You know why I didn't take the job? Because it's too small. I don't care about it. It's nothing to me. It's a bacterium. I travel in worlds you can't even imagine. You can't conceive of what I'm capable of.
The Vince Gilligan verse. A world where every choice has consequences, where even the smallest detail can come back to haunt you. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Two masterfully crafted series, each a storytelling powerhouse in its own right. One defined by chaos and transformation, the other by tragedy and inevitability. Today, we're diving deep into Breaking Bad versus Better Call Saul, examining the characters, storytelling, and legacy that make both shows unforgettable. But which one is truly the king of this universe? Is Breaking Bad still the best? Or did Saul Goodman just con his way to the top? Let's break it down. Both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul kick off their respective journeys with strong yet distinct approaches. While Breaking Bad immediately plunges into chaos, Better Call Saul takes a slow-burn, character-driven path. Let's break down how each show introduces its world, themes, and characters. From the very first episode, Breaking Bad sets up a story of desperation, transformation, and inevitability. Walter White's world changes almost instantly. Within the pilot, he goes from a struggling high school teacher to a man cooking meth in the desert. Walter's cancer diagnosis is revealed early, providing a strong justification for his decision to enter the drug trade. The presence of Jesse Pinkman, the violent world of drug dealers like Crazy and Tuco Salamanca, and Walter's own internal struggle create immediate tension. By the end of Season 1, Walter is no longer the same man. The once timid teacher kills for the first time and asserts his dominance, showing early signs of the monster he'll become. Breaking Bad's first episodes waste no time. It's a mix of thriller, action, and dark comedy, keeping the audience on edge. Every episode moves the story forward, making it clear that Walter is on a dangerous and irreversible path. In contrast, Better Call Saul takes its time. Instead of immediate action and high stakes, it focuses on character study and subtle tension. Jimmy McGill isn't dying. He's just trying to make a name for himself as a lawyer. His struggle is more relatable and grounded compared to Walter's. Instead of drug cartels, the first episodes are centered around Jimmy's strained relationship with his brother Chuck, his struggles in the legal world, and his moral dilemmas. Unlike Walter, Jimmy's descent into Saul Goodman is not immediate. His journey is filled with hesitation, failed attempts at legitimacy, and small moral compromises that eventually snowball. Characters like Kim Wexler, Chuck McGill, and Mike Ehrmantraut get significant screen time, making the show feel more like an ensemble piece than just Jimmy's story. Where Breaking Bad is explosive, Better Call Saul is intricate. Its introduction is more about atmosphere and slow-building tension rather than immediate action. Both introductions serve their respective stories perfectly. One is a thrilling descent into crime, while the other is a gradual fall into moral corruption. Both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul tell stories of transformation, but Walter White and Jimmy McGill take vastly different paths. One is a descent fueled by ego and power, the other a slow unraveling built on self-deception and survival. Let's break down what makes their journeys so compelling. Walter White's story is one of reinvention through destruction. Walter starts as a man who feels invisible. He's overqualified, underappreciated, and watching his life slip away. His cancer diagnosis doesn't just give him a death sentence. It gives him an excuse to finally take control. At first, Walter insists he's doing it for his family. But every decision, every risk, every murder reveals a deeper truth. Walter isn't just surviving, he's thriving. As Heisenberg takes over, Walter stops reacting to his situation and starts controlling it. He's no longer a victim. He's the one making the rules. Unlike Jimmy, Walter never looks back. He burns every bridge, destroys everyone close to him, and in the end, he chooses to die as Heisenberg. Walter's transformation is fast, brutal, and fueled by ambition. He isn't a man losing himself. He's a man revealing who he's been all along. Where Walter embraces his downfall, Jimmy McGill tries to outrun his. Jimmy isn't looking for power. He just wants to be taken seriously. He works hard, tries to play by the rules, but no matter what, he's always seen as Slippin' Jimmy, the con artist. Unlike Walter, Jimmy isn't pushed by fate. He's pushed by people. His brother Chuck, the legal world, and even his own self-doubt convince him that legitimacy isn't an option. Walter takes the plunge into crime. Jimmy dips his toes in first. A fake evidence job here, a shady client there, until he stops resisting and embraces Saul Goodman. The tragedy of Jimmy isn't that he becomes Saul. It's that he stops realizing he had a choice. Unlike Walter, he never sets out to break bad. He just keeps making the easier choice, until Jimmy McGill is gone. Jimmy's story is slower, more psychological, and ultimately sadder. He doesn't explode into a criminal empire. He erodes into one. Walter White is a man who chooses to be bad. Jimmy McGill is a man who lets go of being good. One story is about power, the other about survival. But in the end, they both become their worst selves, whether they meant to or not. Both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul have rich supporting casts that help shape their respective worlds. Breaking Bad's supporting cast is built around Walter White's rise and fall, with each character serving as a reflection of his transformation. Skyler begins as a loving wife but becomes trapped in Walter's criminal empire, forced to launder money and live in fear. Jesse, initially a small-time drug dealer, becomes a tragic figure manipulated by Walter's growing ambition. Hank, the confident DEA agent, unknowingly hunts his own brother-in-law, leading to one of the most intense cat-and-mouse chases in television history. Even secondary characters like Marie and Walt Jr. exist largely to show the consequences of Walter's choices. The cast is designed to react to Walter's power, either being consumed by it, fighting against it, or becoming collateral damage. In Breaking Bad, supporting characters don't always have their own arcs. Instead, they are shaped by Walter's actions, making the show feel like a singular, fast-moving tragedy. Better Call Saul, on the other hand, builds a world where its supporting cast has lives and arcs independent of Jimmy McGill. Kim Wexler isn't just a love interest. She has her own ambitions, moral dilemmas, and self-destructive tendencies that unfold gradually. Chuck McGill is a complex antagonist, not because he's evil, but because he genuinely believes Jimmy is dangerous. Howard Hamlin starts as a seemingly arrogant rival, but later emerges as a tragic figure caught in a war between the McGill brothers. Even Mike Ehrmantraut, introduced as a side character in Breaking Bad, is given an entire backstory, exploring his past as a corrupt cop and his struggles with morality. Unlike Breaking Bad, where characters are often victims of Walter's choices, Better Call Saul allows its cast to make their own decisions, leading to slow-burn conflicts that feel deeply personal. Instead of reacting to one man's dissent, the supporting characters in Better Call Saul are active participants in their own fates, making the world feel richer and more unpredictable. Both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul feature unforgettable villains, but they take very different approaches. Breaking Bad thrives on explosive, fear-inducing figures who escalate the action, while Better Call Saul focuses on calculated, methodical threats who manipulate from the shadows. In Breaking Bad, villains are violent, unpredictable, and larger than life. Early threats like Crazy and Tuco Salamanca show the brutal and chaotic side of the drug trade, with Tuco's wild, coke-fueled rages making him especially dangerous. As the series progresses, we meet more calculated villains, like Gustavo Fring, cool, professional, and utterly ruthless. His composed demeanor makes him even scarier, as he can switch from businessman to cold-blooded killer in an instant. Then there's Uncle Jack and his neo-Nazi gang, representing a raw, cutthroat criminal underworld with no code or morality. Better Call Saul takes a more subtle and psychological approach to its villains. The threats in this show don't just use brute force. They manipulate, scheme, and wait for the right moment to strike. Lalo Salamanca is one of the standout villains, bringing a unique mix of charm and menace. Unlike Tuco, who was unpredictable and reckless, Lalo is intelligent, strategic, and always one step ahead. Then, there's Hector Salamanca, whose presence looms large as we witness the events that leave him in his Breaking Bad state, making his rivalry with Gus Fring even deeper. Speaking of Gus, Better Call Saul gives us a closer look at his rise to power and his cold, methodical battle against the Salamancas. Unlike in Breaking Bad, where he was already established, here we see him carefully build his empire, showing just how dangerous he truly is. If Breaking Bad's villains are about raw power and intimidation, Better Call Saul's are about patience and control. One show thrives on chaos and fear, while the other builds tension through slow-burn power struggles. Both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul explore transformation, but they do it in very different ways. Breaking Bad is a high-stakes, fast-paced descent into crime, while Better Call Saul is a slow-burning tragedy of moral compromise and ambition. Breaking Bad wastes no time plunging Walter White into chaos. After his cancer diagnosis, he turns to cooking meth to provide for his family, but his motivations quickly shift. What begins as desperation evolves into a hunger for power, and with every choice, Walt sinks deeper into the criminal world. Each season raises the stakes, from small-time dealers like Tuco Salamanca to the highly calculated Gus Fring and the ruthless neo-Nazi gang. Walt manipulates, deceives, and kills to secure his empire, becoming the feared Heisenberg. By the end, he's lost everything, proving that his descent wasn't just about survival, it was about ego. Breaking Bad is a story of choices and consequences, told through relentless tension, shocking twists, and escalating danger. Better Call Saul takes a more measured approach. Instead of immediate action, it carefully builds Jimmy McGill's journey into Saul Goodman. Unlike Walter, who transforms rapidly, Jimmy's fall happens in small, calculated steps. He starts as an underdog trying to make it as a lawyer, but his natural talent for bending the rules keeps pulling him toward corruption. With every scheme and shortcut, he drifts further from legitimacy. But Better Call Saul isn't just about Jimmy. It expands the Breaking Bad universe, deepening characters like Mike Ehrmantraut and Gus Fring, while introducing compelling figures like Kim Wexler and Lalo Salamanca. The stakes aren't always violent, but the psychological and legal battles make every decision feel weighty. It's not about an explosion of crime, it's about watching morality unravel, one bad choice at a time. Breaking Bad is about a man who embraces his darkest instincts, while Better Call Saul is about a man trying and failing to resist them. One is a high-intensity crime thriller fueled by power and destruction, while the other is a methodical character study about deception and identity. Both prove that once you start down the wrong path, there's no turning back. Both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul craft endings that perfectly suit their narratives. One is a violent, explosive finale driven by inevitability, while the other is a quiet yet devastating reckoning. Both explore the consequences of their protagonists' choices, but in vastly different ways. Walter White's story was always heading toward destruction. After years of manipulation, power struggles, and ruthless decisions, he returns to Albuquerque for one last stand. In a single episode, he eliminates Jack's gang, frees Jesse, and ensures his family's financial security. The moment he collapses in the meth lab, dying among the equipment that built his empire, is poetic. Walt doesn't get redemption. He gets exactly what he wanted, to go out on his own terms. His final smirk says it all. He was never just a desperate man, but someone who embraced power until the bitter end. Jimmy McGill's ending is less violent, but just as heartbreaking. After years of deception and running from responsibility, he finally makes a choice that isn't self-serving. He confesses everything in court, throwing away a cushy plea deal to face real consequences. His transformation back to Jimmy McGill, rejecting the persona of Saul Goodman, is his final act of defiance. He's sentenced to 86 years in prison, but for the first time in a long time, he's at peace. The final moments, as he shares a silent cigarette with Kim, carry more weight than any gunfight. Unlike Walt, Jimmy doesn't die. He's forced to live with what he's done. Breaking Bad ends in chaos. Better Call Saul ends in quiet reflection. Walt loses his life. Jimmy loses his freedom. But both prove a central truth of Vince Gilligan's universe. No one escapes the consequences of their choices. So, after diving deep into both shows, one thing is clear. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul may share the same universe, but they tell completely different stories in their own unique ways. One is an intense, high-stakes descent into crime, while the other is a slow-burn character study about morality and consequences. But which one did it better? Do you prefer the adrenaline-fueled chaos of Breaking Bad, or the layered, tragic unraveling of Better Call Saul? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the best television shows out there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.